Denver police plan what the mayor's calling trust patrols, more in-person patrolling. But how can DPD do that if it is significantly understaffed?
I hope it strengthens the trust, the bonds between the police department and the city.
Conservatives on Aurora City Council moved to mess with Aurora Pride Fest, but they say it's not about LGBTQ people, it's about the Aurora Reservoir. A rare find under a log at Chatfield Farms, a flower not seen in this state in 120 years. And Colorado's Republican Party leaders hold a secret meeting under a bridge as other Republicans call for their removal. We don't have to meet under a bridge. We can meet right here each night on Next. Denver police have a plan to slow things down, get out of their patrol cars, walk around and talk to more people, build trust with the hope that that can reduce crime. Our Angeline McCall looks at whether that will even be possible for a police department that already says it's understaffed and stretched thin.
But we also know the best way to stop crime is to prevent it.
In Mayor Johnston's State of the City address this week, a new announcement.
So we will start a new practice of trust patrols.
Meaning, officers will get the chance to stop at businesses, to talk with business owners and residents.
So this is a new business practice that allows every patrol officer the opportunity to have these meaningful, non-enforcement related interactions, where right now the majority of the community policing is carried out by specific officers.
Commander Jacob Herrera with the Denver Police Department says they launched the program last month, starting with 69 long-standing businesses.
So from there, the feedback was positive.
With police resources often stretched thin, cops are still trying to figure out a way to do this.
Anytime you want to add to what we already expect our police to do, you have to find something to take away. So we're looking at ways through new technology, through partnerships with different agencies, on ways of reducing our service load so that we can deliver the trust patrols.
Even though it will take more time on patrols, the department hopes more conversation and trust will lead to better policing and more information when trying to solve crimes.
Our goal would be to improve cooperation with us in terms of reporting of crimes, the further investigation, being a good witnesses. But that all starts with having a personal relationship with officers.
The program started with those 69 legacy businesses, those long-standing ones, but now the department is asking business owners to sign up as trust partners to become one of these locations where officers can stop on these trust patrols. We have that link on our website. And on top of this, they're also launching a different initiative called Hot Street Policing, where they send officers to these different intersections or areas that have elevated violent crime rates. And they say that if an officer is in the area for 10 minutes, that it reduces crime for the next 2 hours by up to 30%.
So the idea is get officers in that area preemptively so that people know, like, oh, there's always cops around here, like in these various areas that they've identified as the hot spots.
Exactly. And so hopefully that will also reduce crime on top of this other initiative that Johnston announced yesterday.
Angeline, thank you. The Colorado Democratic Party says its leaders have voted overwhelmingly to back Kamala Harris for president. 83 of 87 DNC delegates from Colorado are backing Harris. It's a bit more complicated when you talk about the state's Central Committee. That's a much larger group. Those party leaders voted 329 to 12 to back Harris, but the party says about 250 of the members did not respond to a request to weigh in for or against Harris. Conservatives on Aurora City Council could force the city's Pride celebration to find a new home, and this is a last-minute objection because the event's coming up in a few weeks. Aurora Pride is scheduled to take place in early August at the Aurora Reservoir. That's where it's been held in the past several years. City Council quietly postponed a vote approving a $15,000 sponsorship earlier this month. Conservative council member Stephanie Hancock and Danielle Jurinsky tried to throw a new wrench into the works again last night, saying that no one group should be able to use the reservoir and close it off to the public. They were overruled by others on council who noted that Aurora has sponsored that Pride Festival there for years.
It could be something near and dear to my heart. I fundamentally do not believe that our reservoir should be shut down ever to the public.
Removing it from the agenda or voting no tells the LGBTQ plus people in this city that uniquely this council, not any of the previous conservative city councils that have governed this city, doesn't believe we should have a safe space for one day.
Drinsky says she plans to draft an ordinance that would prohibit any private events from renting out the entire Aurora Reservoir property in the future. The far-right takeover of the Colorado Republican Party has meant that the party's official statements often echo social media trolls. Appropriate, perhaps, that GOP leaders just met under a bridge. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger is no troll himself, but he's also under a bridge. And Marshall, you got to explain this to me. Why are Colorado Republican leaders hanging out with like the pigeons and the graffiti and the old spare tires and such?
Don't forget the twig. It's the acoustics, Kyle. This is a great place to hold a meeting. It's been a rocky couple of months for the Colorado GOP, which just held a meeting on a bike path similar to this, just to say they held a meeting. That bike path, though, is in Bayfield. If you're like, where's Bayfield? It's in far southwest Colorado, somewhere on that spinning globe in front of you as we bring you the latest chapter as the Colorado GOP turns. When we last left the Colorado GOP, there was internal fighting over a meeting that may or may not take place this Sunday to try to oust Chairman Dave Williams. Vice Chair Hope Scheppelman called that meeting illegal.
Hang on, watch out. Get out of his way.
Unlike the meeting she held last Friday.
This special meeting of the Colorado Republican Committee is called to order.
Under the bridge in Bayfield, the Colorado GOP could not get enough members for a quorum.
I have 3 SSCC members out of 415 total members present.
Perhaps that was the point. The meeting was to fulfill a deadline created once El Paso County GOP Vice Chair Todd Watkins submitted a petition saying he had enough signatures to call a meeting to oust Williams. The sole purpose of this meeting was to adjourn immediately, essentially to check a box to say the required meeting was held. Over the weekend, the Colorado GOP also made public its June finance report, which shows the party paid a total of $58,000 for mailers in support of Chairman Dave Williams' primary run for Congressional District 5, the race he lost by 30 points. Wait, $58,000? So when the finances come out, we're going to see $0 spent to benefit Dave Williams' CD5 campaign and $0 spent for any of the other endorsed candidates?
You're not going to see anything like that.
We see $58,000, and we also see Williams contributing $60,000 back to the party. Here's the thing. The Colorado GOP gets a discount on postage from the Postal Service for campaign mailers, as long as the candidate does not reimburse the party for the postage. In a phone call today, I asked Colorado GOP Treasurer Tom Bjorklund if any of the $60,000 was to reimburse the party. He told me, quote, Williams made a donation. That's all I can tell you. A party covering the cost of mailers and postage on behalf of a candidate is not unusual. It is unusual when it's done in a primary when there are several candidates from the same party running and you're choosing one person to support. That's when it becomes unusual. Kind of like holding a meeting under a bridge on a bike path, simply to say you held a meeting where conveniently not enough people showed up.
And you can't make this stuff up, right? There's the old saying in politics, Marshall, that if you're explaining, you're losing. I feel like we can add a parallel related phrase now in Colorado politics. If you're hiding from members of your own party under a bridge, you're losing.
There'll be another meeting, perhaps on Sunday, that will not be under a bridge. It's the illegal meeting that's going to be at a Brighton church. The next official meeting, August 31st, at a church known as The Rock in Castle Rock.
Of course you can bring it home because you're the best. Marshall, thank you. Elections workers confirm a razor-thin margin of a victory in a primary holds up even after hundreds of ballots never made it to voters. After 50 years of fighting over mining near Crested Butte, a major victory for conservationists. And researchers stumble across a once-in-a-lifetime flower find in Jefferson County. A Republican primary in southwest Colorado has been decided by just 3 votes, despite an ongoing investigation into why hundreds of voters in the district never got a ballot. The counting and the recounting was in State House District 58. It's Montrose, Telluride, Gunnison, Crested Butte. Margin of victory, unchanged, still 3 votes. Former Montezuma County Commissioner Larry Don Sukla still leads former Delta County Commissioner Mark Rober by those 3 votes. Thinnest of margins. Could have been drastically different if 376 ballots in Dolores County hadn't been misplaced after they were printed. Colorado Public Radio was first to report on those misplaced ballots. State elections officials said they were most likely lost in transit. Voters had the opportunity to request a replacement ballot if they didn't get one. That county went heavily for Sukla. He got 80% of the vote there. Sukla still has to face a Democratic opponent in the general election in November. The Democrat is Kathleen Curry, who was previously in that state legislative seat from 2005 to 2010. Check in with Kathy Sabin now after a smoky day on the Front Range.
Oh, it's just nasty. The air outside is horrible, and it's actually very unhealthy. And as part of the 9 News Weather Impact team, we issued a Weather Impact Day because the air quality is unhealthy. Not only do we have high levels of ozone here at the surface, but we have all of that wildfire smoke coming in from Canada and the Pacific Northwest. The view outside really does tell the story, and those in sensitive groups really need to monitor outdoor activities, because the Weather Impact Day will go throughout today into the evening and may be reinstated again tomorrow. We're hopeful to see some improvement as the smoke plume may lift a little bit further to the north. So the impact is the wildfire smoke and the high levels of ozone have created an air quality alert that will be in effect until 4 o'clock tomorrow. So obviously exercising outdoors in these conditions is not optimal. And you're probably wondering why I have a car on here to avoid. They're asking the Air Quality Council that, maybe limit driving and mowing your lawn when we have air quality concerns and conditions like this. And it's just not a great night out there. We're tracking some isolated storms along the foothills, but not a lot of rain coming in with those storms. Matter of fact, the heat is on. Upper 80s, low 90s today. We're going into the mid 90s tomorrow. And the wind out of the east and northeast helping to push that bad air right into the metro area. But the forecast modeling shows the heavier plumes lifting north and east overnight. And while not entirely clearing out, it's a little bit improved tomorrow. Air quality alert remains in effect, though, for ground ozone pollution, and we're not going to get much help from Mother Nature to clear out the air. So temperatures in the 80s and 70s tonight will rebound tomorrow into the mid 90s. And on future casts, very little in the way of rain coming in over the next 24 hours to help us out. So your 3-day forecast includes mid 90s tomorrow with areas of smoke, close to 100 degrees on Thursday, but by Friday, maybe some afternoon thunderstorms that might bring in a little rain.
Conservationists in Crested Butte are celebrating a victory that's been 50 years in the making. The U.S. Forest Service and a mining company have come up with a deal to end the mining on thousands of acres of land. Mount Emmons, the Red Lady near Crested Butte, has been the sign of molybdenum mining since the late 70s. Originally, the mine's first owners proposed a 30-year deal to mine millions of tons of molybdenum, which is used to make a steel alloy. Town leaders and conservation advocates have spent years challenging the mining rights, but they had little success until new owners took over the mine in 2016. The new owners spent years putting together this massive land swap, which will require them to turn over hundreds of acres to the Forest Service. In exchange, the Forest Service will give up hundreds of acres where the molybdenum mining company already operates a water treatment facility. That land goes into a conservation easement, which prevents commercial development while still allowing recreational use. Conservationists say this is really the best possible outcome.
The mine was able to do something that we never thought could happen. This is the best protection and the best sense of removing the threat of a large industrial mine in our community that we've ever had.
Deal has not yet been finalized. All the parties still have to sign off in September. The land is also covered by a federal deal that halts new molybdenum mining and energy development for the next 20 decades. That was announced earlier this spring. How many times did I manage to not mangle molybdenum? That's 5.
In Jefferson County, there have been very few records of the species overall.
Well, until now, a rare orchid is blooming once again in Colorado after hiding from scientists for more than 100 years. And I have some recommended reading if you want to impress everybody at your Olympic watch party. May I make a recommendation? It's a piece of journalism that is not from our team, but I think you'll find it interesting. With the Olympics just around the corner, it's a great time to reread Alan Prendergast's deep dive for Westward, explaining Denver's failed bid for the 1976 Winter Games. It's a deeply researched retelling of how a team of city leaders successfully won the bid to host the games. This is their hype video, followed by the revolt of Denver citizens who are worried about the potential environmental and economic impacts. Years of debate led to a one-of-its-kind vote to reject the games. I want to brush up on some local Olympic history as it was before the opening ceremony. We have that full article linked on the next social media pages and on 9news.com. A bit of a scavenger hunt led researchers from Denver Botanic Gardens straight to a once-in-a-lifetime find, a rare orchid that is blooming in Jefferson County that has not been seen since 1905.
In all of the herbaria in Colorado, there's only one record of a striped coral root orchid from Jefferson County. My name is Milan Lay, and I'm a graduate student at the Denver Botanic Gardens and UC Denver. An herbarium, which is essentially a collection of plants that is documented and preserved, and often these are hosted at museums or like at the Denver Botanic Gardens. We went out to help with this effort to document all kinds of life, whether they're animals or plants or fungi, in the Denver Boulder metropolitan area. And during this kind of journey, while we're like poking through the riparian area and the creek, we ended up seeing this little kind of peach-colored plant beginning to emerge from the leaves of the cottonwood trees. We realized it was a striped coral root orchid. It's a really fun find because striped coral root orchids, while being found from everywhere from Canada all the way down to Mexico, don't tend to be very common where you do find them, and especially in Jefferson County. It's always really exciting to find something that hasn't been documented, especially knowing that in this area, there have been botanists that have really gone and surveyed the area thoroughly. I think it really speaks to the idea that biodiversity is not something that is set, it's not stagnant, and it shows that we need to keep on observing the places around us, even if they have been studied thoroughly before. You don't know what you're going to find, and environments are constantly changing. So making these natural history observations and documentation is really important.
Wonder how many thousands of people saw it and were just like, yeah, it's a plant. It's our feedback from Maryland. Thank you. That's next. A very insistent house guest is the most Colorado thing we saw today. You know what they say, if you're hot, they're hot. Bring them inside. That goes for the prairie dogs too, I believe. Pam from Castle Pines sent us this video of a prairie dog that wants in now. Like right now. Do you not hear me scratching? Do you not hear me scratching? She says after scratching the door did not work, prairie dog also tried a window. Let the dogs in. If you see something that looks like Colorado to you, send it our way. Email next at 9news.com. Jacob's not happy with me tonight. He writes in part, it has become comically transparent, the political leanings of Kyle Clark. Any mention of right-leaning or conservative topics or groups or individuals are met with such a noticeable and sarcastic and dismissive tone. Jacob, my brother, the leaders of the Colorado GOP are such a mess that they secretly met under a bridge to hide from other Republicans who want to get rid of them. Not acknowledging the patent absurdity of that would not be honest journalism. You can cover it up, do it with a straight face. They met under a bridge today. Come on, man. See you next time.